Hello, Lorna.
Right, so what's making the front pages today?
Well, Le Figaro, I think, held their front page as they went to press later than usual last night to get their journalist Edith Bouvier on the front page, now that she's finally, as the headline said, managed to leave Syria and is safe and sound in Lebanon. They've got quite an extraordinary account on the inside of how exactly she managed to escape, saying that she had to crawl through a tunnel to get out of the besieged city of Homs with her broken leg, which is fractured in several places, and she, of course, has been about 8 days without having treatment for that since she was injured. And then they say she had to walk through high mountains and heavy snow, cold temperatures to get into Lebanon, to Beirut, where she is now safe and sound. And the French government say they will be sending a plane to come and get her as soon as doctors say that she can travel. So extraordinary story of hers. Le Monde has also some quite harrowing stories of those still fighting it out, or at least, you know, those who were to the very last fighting it out in Homs, which their front page calls a dying city. They say that now that the offensive seems to be complete by Bashar al-Assad's troops and fighting has ended there, they're worried there could then be a massacre on the scale of what happened in the nearby city of Hama 30 years ago under Assad's father, where thousands were massacred. Because there's no journalists left there, the eyes of the world can't really see what's going on. They're worried that al-Assad could then carry out a massacre and thousands could die. But they do say this is different from 30 years ago because there is so much attention being put on Syria just now, and the international community has turned so far against him. They say Assad must realise these are the dying days of his regime. There's also an interesting article in there looking at why Homs became such a centre of opposition. They say it's surprising for lots of Syrians because Homs apparently in Syrian popular culture is synonymous with bad jokes and people who are a bit daft, but apparently they blame...
I'm sure I can think of an equivalent here in France.
The Belgians, probably.
Exactly.
But they blame anyway a local governor who was appointed by Assad, who was very close to him, who apparently was exceptionally corrupt and made himself exceptionally unpopular, and they kind of built this upswell of anger in the city.
I see. Well, let's move now to here in France, because President Sarkozy, as we saw in the news bulletin, got booed yesterday. Rather a bad day for him.
And it was. He ended up under siege, as Libération's editorial puts it, in a cafe in the Basque town of Bayonne after protesters booed him and threw eggs. Here he is on the front page of Libération. Their headline is "The Angry Man," but they're not actually referring to any of the protesters. They're referring to Sarkozy himself. That's because he reacted to that by blaming the socialists for encouraging a violent atmosphere in politics, although the people who booed him weren't even necessarily François Hollande supporters. They were Basque independentists and students, but he blamed Hollande nevertheless in name and said that Hollande was encouraging the épuration of people who oppose him. Now, during the Second World War, épuration meant ethnic cleansing, so it's quite a strong and extremely loaded word for him to use, and Libération points out this is his second strong person attack on Hollande in a week. He attacked his girlfriend for being in the pay of her boss Vincent Bolloré earlier this week. So they say they've interviewed the former socialist Prime Minister Michel Rocard on the inside, who says this campaign is getting increasingly personal, insulting and violent on both the left and the right.
Okay. Well, the ill-gotten gains of African dictators is also making front pages this Friday.
Yes, the African presidents with this scandalous lifestyle is Le Parisien's headline. They're focusing on the presidential families of Equatorial Guinea, Gabon and Congo-Brazzaville. That's because they own vast amounts of wealth here in Paris, and prosecutors here are trying to find out if it was bought with ill-gotten, corrupted public funds from their home countries and if they can confiscate it back. They've got a map in there of some of the most expensive areas of Paris, showing just how many properties in those areas are owned by the presidential families of those countries, which includes apparently a 19 million euro historical home owned by the president of Gabon's family. And they talk about his daughter having spent €1 million on haute couture here in Paris in the last year. So prosecutors trying to get some of that money back.
Good story there. But finally, Le Parisien as well got a little embarrassing little secret of Jean Dujardin, who's the toast of France and Hollywood at the moment after the Oscars.
Yeah, his new film Les Infidèles is out today. It's already been scandalous because of its advertising campaign, which got banned because it was called misogynistic. But apparently they now report he had a scene deleted because he thought it would affect his Oscar chances. Apparently it showed him having sex in a hotel room while one of the planes went into the Twin Towers behind him on 9/11. So he obviously thought this sort of offhand treatment of 9/11 wouldn't go down well with US Oscar voters. Yeah. And the original version shown to producers had that scene in, and then he had it deleted at the last minute to try and help him win that Oscar.
think I can certainly see why from the sounds of it. Thank you very much indeed, Elena, for that look at all today's French front pages. Let's get a look